villagers were coming for the mermaid with their hands. Their torches were blazed in the darkness, and their fishing spears were gleaming like silver teeth. The villagers carried salt to drive the demon out. But Anya stood at the edge of the crumbling riverbank. She was shielding the trembling pregnant mermaid with her own fragile body. "She is not your cause," she shouted. The first spear hit the sand beside her feet. Then what happened next? Not a single villager could explain that. A long time ago, in the village of Ikembe, lived an old woman named Anya. Anya was 70 years old, and her hair was always wrapped in a bright yellow scarf. She lived alone in a crumbling clay hut beside the forgotten edge of the river delta. The hut was falling apart, just like her life had been for 20 years. Her husband and 3 sons had died in a sea accident long ago. The village had never forgiven her for surviving when they did not. They called her the cursed woman. When crops died, they blamed Anya. When boats were lost, they blamed Anya. When children fall sick, they whispered her name like a curse. Every morning, Anya would walk to the river's edge. She would collect water in an old clay pot and speak to the murky water. "I am still here," she would say. "I am still breathing." The river never answered back. The villagers avoided her hut. They crossed to the other side of the path when they saw her coming. Only one person still visited her, a 12-year-old orphan boy named Ife. He would bring firewood and cassava in exchange for palm nut soup and warmth. "Why do they hate you, Grandmother Anya?" Ife would ask. "Because they need someone to blame," she would answer. "And I'm old and alone. It is easy to blame someone who cannot fight back." But Anya was stronger than they know. She had been fighting back every day for 20 years. She fought by staying alive, by growing yams and plantain in her small garden, by helping Ife when he needed food. She fought by refusing to give up. One moonless night, thick mist were rolling over the river. Anya could not sleep. She was sitting by her window, listening to the silence. Then she heard something strange. It was a melody echoing from the river. It was not a song with words, just sound, grief, and something she could not explain. The melody was beautiful and sad at the same time. It made her heart ache. Then, a cry cut through the silence. It was not human, and it was not an animal. It was something else entirely. Anya grabbed her old shawl and stepped outside. The mist was thick. She could barely see her own hands, but she knew the path to the river by heart. She had walked it every day for the past 20 years. The cry came again. It was closer now, and it sounded like someone was in terrible pain. Anya reached the riverbank and peered into the darkness. At first, she saw nothing. Then the mist cleared for a moment, and she gasped. There was a creature tangled in discarded fishing net. It had deep brown skin and glowing teal scales. Its tail was long and powerful, but now it was trembling. Leaf-like spine sprouted from its arm, and its long hair was lit with bioluminescent strand that pulsed like tiny stars. It was a mermaid, and she was heavily pregnant. The mermaid's abdomen was streaked with wounds. Blood was seeping from cuts where the net had dug into her skin. Her breathing was labored, and her eyes were filled with pain and fear. When the mermaid saw Anya, she tried to speak, her voice like water flowing over rocks. "Please," she whispered, "help me." Anya knew the rules. The village had long feared the river and all its spirits. They said the water remembered every death, every curse, every broken promise. They said creatures from the deep brought nothing but trouble. But as the mermaid pleaded with soft, tearful eyes, Anya saw a reflection of herself. She saw someone wounded, misunderstood, and cast aside. She saw someone who needed help and had nowhere else to turn to. Anya did not hesitate. She waded into the cold water and began untangling the nets. The mermaid's scales were warm to the touch, and they glowed brighter when Anya's hand moved over them. "What is your name?" Anya asked as she walked. "Nerida," the mermaid whispered. "I am Nerida of the deep current." "I am Anya," she replied, "and I will help you." The nets were thick and strong. Anya's old hands were not as quick as they used to be, but she walked steadily, cutting through the ropes with her fishing knife. The mermaid watched her with growing thirst. "Why are you helping me?" Nerida asked. "Because you need help," Anya said simply, "and because I know what it feels like to be alone and afraid." When the last net fell away, Nerida tried to swim, but her wounds were too deep and her pregnancy made her movement slow and painful. "I cannot make it back to the deep sea," she said. "My time is almost here." Anya looked at the mermaid's swollen belly. She had helped deliver many babies in her younger years. She could see that Nerida was close to giving birth. "Come with me," Anya said. "I will keep you safe." Anya's hut was very small, but it had a large wooden tub that her husband had built for washing clothes. She filled it with fresh river water and helped Nerida into it. The mermaid's tail barely fit, but she sighed with relief as the water covered her wounds. Anya boiled spring water and made a healing tea with herbs from her garden. She also prepared palm nut soup with dried fish, adding salt from the sea and healing roots that grew by the river bank. Nerida drank gratefully. "Your kindness is a gift," Nerida said, "but you do not understand the danger you are in." "Tell me," Anya said. Nerida's eyes grew dark. "I was chased by creatures from the deep sea. They are born from oil spill and toxic waste. They feed on pollution and death. They want to destroy everything clean and pure." She placed a hand on her belly. "My unborn child is special. She carries the power of the clean tide. She can purify waters and restore dry coastland. The dark creatures want to kill her before she's born." Anya felt a chill run down her spine. "Are they still coming?" "Yes," Nerida said, "but they cannot follow me into fresh waters. For now, we are safe." Anya spent the next 3 days caring for Nerida. She brought fresh water, prepared healing food, and sang old songs to calm the mermaid's fear. Nerida told her stories of the deep ocean, of coral cities and whale songs, of waters so clear you could see the bottom. "Your river used to be like that," Nerida said. "Long ago, before the factories and the waste, my grandmother remembered when this water was crystal clear." "What happened?" Anya asked. "People forgot how to listen to the water," Nerida said sadly. "They treated it like a garbage dump instead of a sacred gift." On the 4th day, whispers began in the village. People said they had seen glowing light from Anya's hut. Some claimed they heard strange weepings at night. Others said they saw her carrying extra water from the river. Ezekiel, a ruthless fisherman known for dumping waste into the river, decided to investigate. He had always hated Anya because she had once reported him to the village chief for polluting the water. Now, he saw a chance to revenge. "That cursed woman is up to something," he told his friend at the palm wine bar. "I saw light in her hut, strange light, and I heard singing that was not human." His friend Kwame nodded. "My wife says the fish have been acting strange. They swim away from our net like they are afraid." "It is her," Ezekiel said. "She is casting an evil spell on the river. We must stop her before she brings more curse upon us." But Ezekiel did not know that the fishes were not afraid. They were excited because they could sense the presence of the clean tide, and they were gathering near Anya's hut in hope. That evening, young Ife came to Anya's hut with firewood as usual, but when he opened the door, he stopped and stared. There was a mermaid in the washing tub. Ife's eyes went wide with terror. He dropped the firewood and stepped backward. Do not be afraid, Anya said firmly. She's a friend. Nerida looked at the boy with gentle eyes. Hello, young boy, she said in her water voice. I am Nerida. Ife had heard stories of mermaids, but he had never believed they were real. Now, one was speaking to him, and her voice was like music. Are you going to hurt us? He asked. No, Nerida said. I'm here because your grandmother saved me. She's the kindest person I have ever met. Ife looked at Anya, then back at Nerida. Slowly, his fear melted away. What do you need? He asked. From that day forward, Ife became their secret helper. He brought special plants that Nerida needed for her health. He watched the river at night to make sure no one was coming. He even brought extra fish to feed the mermaid. Why are you helping her? Anna asked him one day. Because you taught me that we should help people who need help, Ife said. It does not matter if they are different from us. On the 7th day, Anna's daughter Kemi arrived unexpectedly. She lived in the next village and rarely visited. But she had heard the rumors about strange lights and sound coming from her mother's hut. Mother, what happened here? Kemi demanded. Adjusting her bright wrapper clothes, people are talking about you all over the region. Anya, try to hide her nervousness. Nothing is happening here. I'm just living my life as usual. But Kemi was very suspicious. She had always been a practical woman who trusted village gossip more than her own mother. She searched the cottage while Anya was outside, and she found Nerida in the tub. Kemi screamed and ran outside. Mother, there is a monster in your house. She is not a monster, Anna said calmly. She's a friend who needs help. Have you lost your mind? Kemi shouted. That thing will bring curses upon our entire family. The villagers will burn down your cottage. Let them try, Anna said. I will not abandon someone who needs help. Kemi stared at her mother in disbelief. You always put strangers before your own family. That is why father and my brothers died. That is why you are cursed. The words hit Anya like a physical blow, but she stood her ground. I am not cursed. I am blessed with the ability to show compassion. Kemi left that night, but not before threatening to tell the village chief about the mermaid. I will not let you destroy what is left of our family's name, she said. That night, Nerida went into labor. Her breathing became rapid and her tail thrashed in the water. The glowing strand in her head pulsed brighter with each contraction. The child is coming, she gasped. But she cannot be born on land. She must be born in the sacred freshwater spring deep within the Delta Sea. Anna's heart sank. The sacred spring was 2 hours away by canoe, and the river was treacherous at night, but she could see that Nerida was in desperate pain. I will take you there, Anna said. She and Ife worked together to build a makeshift canoe from old planks and fishing nets. They lined it with net clothes to keep Nerida comfortable. As they walked, Nerida's contraction grew stronger. Hurry, she whispered. The child wants to be born. They launched the canoe just as the moon was setting. Anya paddled while Ife kept Nerida covered with wet clothes. The mermaid's breathing was labored, and her scales were glowing so brightly they lit up the water around them. But they were not alone in the river. Ezekiel and 3 other men had been watching Anna's hut. When they saw the strange glowing light moving down the river, they knew something was wrong. She is taking the demon somewhere, Ezekiel said. We must stop her. The men launched their own canoe and paddled her to catch up with them. They carried salt, harpoons, and chants that they believed would drive away evil spirits and kill the demon. That thing will poison our village, Ezekiel shouted across the water. We will not let it spread its course. Anya paddled faster, but her old arms were growing tired. The men were gaining on them. She could hear their angry voices getting closer. Grandmother, they are almost here, Ife said, his voice shaking with fear. Nerida was writhing in pain. Her Her contractions were coming fast now, and she was crying out in her water voice. The sound echoed across the Delta Sea like a song of suffering. Just a little further, Anya panted. We are almost there. Hold on, hang in, Nerida. But the men's canoe was faster. They pulled alongside Anya's canoe just as they reached the sacred spring. The water here was different, clearer, and a faint blue glow that seemed to come from beneath the surface. The 4 men surrounded Anya's canoe. Ezekiel stood up, raising his harpoon. Get away from that demon, old woman. She is not a demon, Anya said, standing between the men and Nerida. She is carrying life, not death. Lies, Ezekiel shouted. That thing has caused our watchers. It must die. He hurled his harpoon at Nerida, but before it could strike, something extraordinary happened. Nerida unleashed a wave of brilliant light. It poured from her scales, her hair, and her unborn child. The light was so bright it turned night into day. The water around them began to glow the same blue radiance. Fish leaped from the water in celebrations. Birds that had been sleeping in the trees began to sing. The very land trembled with new life. The 4 men fell to their knees in their canoe. They could not speak. They could barely breathe. They were witnessing something beyond their understanding, the birth of hope itself. In that sacred spring, Nerida gave birth to her daughter. The child was perfect, a glowing infant with silver fins and eyes like the deepest ocean. Her scales shimmered with all the colors of healthy coral reef. The newborn mermaid did not cry. Instead, she sang a pure, clear note that made the water dance, and the stars seemed brighter. Where her voice touched the water, pollution disappeared. Dead fish came back to life. Algae bloomed with new colors. She is beautiful, Anya said. Nerida held her daughter for a moment, then placed her gently in the spring water. The child swam in perfect circles, her song growing stronger with each movement. She was returned to the deep water now, Nerida said. Her work is just beginning. The tide was turning, and clean waters was flowing from the spring towards the ocean. The newborn mermaid followed the current, her song fading as she disappeared into the depths. Nerida turned to Anya with tears in her eyes. I cannot thank you enough, she said. Your kindness have saved more than just my life. You have saved the future of all waters. She reached into her scales and pulled out a single perfect scale from her tail. It was warm and shimmering, with colors that changed in the light. This is for you, she said, placing it in Anya's palm. It will remind you that kindness is the most powerful magic in the world. Nerida looked at Ife and smiled. Thank you, young guardian. You have a brave heart. Then she looked at the 4 men who were still kneeling in their canoe. You came here with hate in your heart, she said, but you have witnessed the birth of hope. Remember this moment. Let it change you. With that, Nerida drove into the spring and disappeared beneath the surface. At sunrise, the villagers awoke to a changed world. The river was crystal clear for the first time in decades. Fishes were jumping everywhere, and the water was so clean you could see to the bottom. Birds that had not been seen in years were returning to nest in the trees. Even the air smelled different, fresh and clean like the ocean after a storm. Anya's hut, which had been crumbling for years, was now steady and bright. The walls were straight, the roof was solid, and sunlight streamed through clean windows. Her garden was overflowing with vegetables and flower. The 4 men returned to the village in silence. They could not explain what they had seen, but they were changed by it. Ezekiel, who had been dumping waste into the river for years, confessed to the village elders. His dumping site was exposed when fish began vomiting up strange plastic and chemicals. The elders banished Ezekiel from the village. You poisoned our water, they said. You have no place among us. Anya was no longer called a cursed woman. The villagers began calling her Mother of the River's Mercy. They came to her hut to ask for advice about fishing, planting, and building. How did you know? The villagers asked. How did you know to help the mermaid? I listened to my heart, Anya said. And my heart told me that kindness is always the right choice. Young mothers brought their children to meet Anya. They wanted their sons and daughters to learn from her wisdom. Children who had been afraid of her now ran to hug her when they saw her. Kemi returned to apologize to her mother. I was wrong, she said. I let fear and shame cloud my judgment. You were braver than all of us. Anya officially adopted Ife as her grandson. They worked together in the garden by the river, growing vegetables and flowers that they shared with the village. Ife learned everything Anya could teach him about kindness, courage, and listening to your heart. Will I ever see Nerida again? He asked one day. I do not know, Anya said, but I know that her daughter is out there, cleaning the ocean and bringing life back to the waters. That is enough for me. Visitors come from distant places to hear the tale of the old woman who sheltered a mermaid and saved the river. They brought gifts and stories from their own villages. Some stayed to help with her garden. Others left to spread the story further. The river became a place of pilgrimage. People would come to drink from the sacred spring and to ask for blessings. Years passed and Anya grew older, but she was no longer alone. She was surrounded by people who loved and respected her. Ife grew into a strong young man who dedicated his life to protecting the river. He married a kind woman from the next village, and they had children who called Anya great-grandmother. Every morning, Anya would walk to the river's edge with a glowing scale in her hand. She would sit on the bank and listen to the water. Sometimes she could hear Nerida's voice in the morning breeze, singing songs of gratitude and hope. I'm still here, she would say to the water. I am still breathing, and I'm no longer alone. The river always answered back now. It would sparkle in the sunlight, and fish would jump near the shore. Birds would land on Anya's shoulder, and children would gather around to hear her stories. One day, a young woman came to visit Anya. She was pregnant and afraid, cast out from her own village because she was unmarried. She had walked for days to reach the river, hoping to find help. I have nowhere to go, she said. Everyone had turned against me. Anya looked at the young woman and saw herself 70 years ago, frightened, alone, and in need of compassion. She also saw Nerida, the mermaid who had needed help and found it. You can stay with me, Anya said. I will help you prepare for your child. The young woman began to cry with relief. Why would you help a stranger? Anya smiled and held up the glowing scale. Because I have learned that kindness is the most powerful magic in the world. When we help others, we help ourselves. When we show compassion, we create a better world for everyone. The young woman stayed with Anya until her baby was born, a healthy boy with bright eyes and a strong voice. She named him River in honor of the water that had brought them together. As the story spread, more people came to understand the lesson. Kindness was not weakness. Compassion was not foolishness. Those who helped others, even when it was difficult or dangerous, were the true heroes. The river continued to flow, crystal clear and full of life. And in its waters, the song of the mermaid's daughter could still be heard, reminding everyone that love and kindness have the power to heal the world. Anya lived to be 100 years old, surrounded by love and respect. When she died peacefully in her sleep, the entire village mourned her. They buried her beside the river, and flowers grew on her grave all year round. The glowing scale was passed down to Ife, and then to his children, and then to their children. It became a symbol of the lesson that Anya had taught them all. Kindness is rewarded. Compassion creates miracles, and those who help others, even when it is difficult, will find that their hearts are filled with more joy than they ever imagined possible. The river still flows today, clean and bright, carrying the story of the old woman who protected a pregnant mermaid and changed the world with a single act of kindness. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to share this story with your family and your friends whom I love to see them. Till I see you again, in my next story. Goodbye.